In this episode, Ben talks about his biggest priorities for Vivi in the next 12 months. What is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome to Collectors Gone Digital. My name is Josh, and on today's episode, we're recapping all the key points from Ben's latest interview with Comics and Crypto. So if you guys enjoy the content, make sure to like and subscribe. And as always, grab a drink, grab a snack, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Alright, so there were quite a bit of repetitive points here. I've included some as refreshers. I've tried to avoid most of them. So if today's episode is shorter, that is why. But they start the interview off discussing more about Ben's background. So he says he's been involved in crypto for roughly 5 years, and he currently lives in New Zealand. Now, if you guys didn't know, he was the former GM of Binance New Zealand. He said he got the job by just applying for the role online, and then he ended up being employee number 1. So he was in charge of bringing Binance over to New Zealand. He was technically the CEO. From there, he scaled the business to 20 team members and over 300 customers. Now, eventually, the guy who ran Binance Australia would end up leaving, and this opened an opportunity for Ben, which he ended up taking. So now, across Australia and New Zealand, there were about 100 team members and roughly 1.5 million users. So after talking about his background, they then ask him, how did you meet the team and what made you want to come on board? So Ben talks about how he's introduced to David through a mutual friend involved in blockchain, and he clicked right away with David, he said. He admired how entrepreneurial he was, ambitious for him and Dan to have done what they've done, but to achieve it as well. He said David is a lovely guy. And it was from there where Ben actually persuaded David to do the interview at Binance. Now, in terms of why Ben came on board, we are going to repeat some points here, but I am going to kind of do it quicker this time. He said he likes the potential for Vivi to be able to disrupt a massive and growing space, about 5% year over year. And that space is about $400+ billion. He also likes Vivi's ease of access. All you need is a phone that you can take wherever, that you can show your family and friends whenever you want. He likes how they're sustainable, and all you need to do is put your credit card in and click buy now. And then this is where Sean kind of chimes in, and he mentions that he knows people in areas that can't access physical comic shops. And so digital comics have allowed them to get involved, more than just ordering physicals online right to your door, right? And then on top of that, you gotta wait for shipping. So if you're somebody like Hanano and D, shout out to you guys, in Hawaii, your wait time for delivery is gonna be weeks. And then that brings us back to the sustainability topic of packaging and shipping. Ben also adds on to this point, and he says that Vivi also gives you access to brands and artists that may not be in your area. He actually says that there's artists he's been exposed to through Vivi that he wouldn't have been otherwise because he doesn't live in the States. Now, how exactly will David, Dan, and Ben be dividing their responsibilities? David's strength is with IP, relationships, and then having a deep understanding and knowledge behind the space and industry. Dan's strength is with production and development. So everything having to do with the final product. How can we make the best looking final product? The Viviverse and collectibles included. Ben has now been brought in to kind of fill the gaps. So his strength, the team, the community, business strategies, coaching having to do with the team. He says 3 steps are choosing the right people, making sure that those right people have the right skills, and then making sure they're motivated. He says there's great opportunity with the talent on the team right now, but there's also opportunity to add more talent in the future as well. Moving on, Ben was then asked what his biggest priorities are for the next 90 days, which he then goes on to say that he's actually looking at the next 12 months. He said he's focused on continuing momentum, which is super important because if momentum slows down, then you're not starting from scratch, but pretty close to it. He says he's also focused on delivering things that the company has committed to in the past that has yet to be delivered. For example, the Viviverse. He says he's working on a clear plan with each team in the business, and he's also going one by one to make sure he meets everyone. He says there's a mix of people working for the company, people who have been here since the app went public, right up to people who have been here for a year or two. Ben says that while he's kind of meeting everyone, he's going around and asking 2 questions. The first one is, what is Vivi's secret sauce? What is the thing that the company really needs to focus on to protect? And the second question is, what can the company do better, right? What have they screwed up on in the past that they want to avoid in the future? He says that the answers he's getting to these questions are also helping him determine what to focus on over the next 12 months. Now, to round the interview off, it was about 30 minutes, which is also why this video is going to be shorter. Ben is asked, what excites you the most about the future of Vivi? His response was multiple things. So the first one, the quality and thinking of Vivi's people. He says they're smart people bursting with ideas, all of whom are focused on helping the community. Another aspect, he says, is the licensors. He says they're very supportive and collaborative, innovative, considering that they're on Vivi to begin with. Ben is also really excited about the market opportunity. He says that because it's so large and established, it's filled with people who are passionate about brands that are already on Vivi. And so, according to Ben, the company has an opportunity to disrupt the space. This is where he also talks about the power of kids. He actually uses Fortnite and Roblox as examples. He says the Viviverse is priority, and it's a huge part of the future of Vivi collectibles and their utility. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We need a CEO saying this stuff. Now, this is where Spencer pretty much says, I appreciate you saying what you just said because, a lot of people in the community seem like they want to hear more about this topic. And Ben acknowledges this. He knows this. Ben's actually been listening in on Spaces using his private account. He also says that a business, it's judged by its execution, actions over words. And so has Vivi delivered innovation and execution? Yes. But have they done it perfectly? He says no. Ben then goes on to say something that I've been wanting to hear for far too long. And he says that the Viviverse is something the business underestimated. The company went into it with the best intentions, absolutely, but they ended up biting a little bit more than they could swallow. Now, this is something we talked about in the past, and I can't say I'm surprised by anything he said here. But Ben, if you are watching this video, I do have to say thank you very much for saying that because it is long overdue. It holds a certain weight considering the position you're in and the title you have. No one likes being told, hey, we got about 30 collectibles to import the textures for, and then we're good to go. And then we have roughly like almost a year of no communication, no explanation, no co-founder coming on, X or on some sort of interview and going, hey, we screwed up. We did bite off a little bit more than we could chew. The fact that we have a co-CEO of the company acknowledging that they underestimated the amount of work that is involved in developing a project like the Viviverse is huge. It's step one. It's words, not actions. Now we need to make sure the actions fall in line with the words. And according to David, according to Ben, hopefully it should be short term. I think the fact that Ben acknowledged this is a huge step in the right direction. And I do just want to quickly reiterate here the importance of the Viviverse. It's a massive pillar for the business in terms of applications for collectibles, revenue streams for the business, brand opportunities for creators. Here's one thing that I've noticed is that because there was such a delay with timelines and a lull in communication, I feel like interest in general has kind of dipped around that topic. And I mean, I used to be somebody who used to post ideas and inspiration for the Viviverse, and stuff like that has kind of flatlined as well. So with that being said, I'm working on a video right now that's going to do a deep dive into what the Viviverse could, emphasis on that word, could look like. Not only can it be used as ideas for the team, but I feel like we can kind of look back on it as like a little time capsule and see how many things actually kind of came to fruition. So as always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Ben, again, thank you for acknowledging that, and I'm looking forward to the next interview. Ladies and gents, that is going to conclude today's episode. I hope you enjoyed. Those are all the key points from Ben's last interview with Comics and Crypto. And I believe his next one is now going to be with Randy, if I'm not mistaken. So I will be recapping that, of course, as well as any other interviews he does. And then whenever there is time to drop that Viviverse episode, I'll make sure to do that. But if you guys enjoy the content, make sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below what you want to see in a future episode. And as for our next, I'll catch you then.